high or whatever. Because Fable is so much more expensive.
I really like Fable. I also really like Opus, and I'm finding that asking Fable to like audit the code and offer suggestions and look at review everything works really well. I haven't found that. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like they're both so incredibly smart. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They're both incredibly smart. Opus seems to work pretty well, and it's a little bit
Yeah.
more optimized or burns my tokens less. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a strong opinion on it. I'm curious what other people think.
I've used Fable for some planning of some heavy work, and it's done a really good job, but so does Opus. So after doing that a couple times, I was like, Opus is just as good, but I'm not doing any really complicated code. I'm basically using it to build my own AI system, really, as opposed to building deliverables. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Opus has been really good for me.
How about you, Shabash? You're deep into all this stuff. Have you found Fable to be like vastly superior, or how does it compare to Opus for you?
So there are two parts to it. Like the first part is that chances are that my prompting technique or the way that I approach any large language model has improved because I have been hearing people on the internet talk about that this app was created in a single prompt. I never had that level of success that one prompt gave me a very refined output. But I was very close on that with Fable 5. Like I was very clear on what I want and like all the steps, all the PRD files, all the system architecture, everything into it. And it was very close to like, okay, yeah, this is something that I can deliver to a client, or this is something that I can present to someone. So that was my experience on it. But yeah, like very, very token heavy. So like you can't be using it for everything, obviously. So
Right.
that's my experience on it. Yeah.
Worked really well when I so you do the planning in one session, but then you have it uh, make a whole bunch of sub agents to carry out the plan. Fable just monitors that. Like it gets the outputs that the agents do and then send it to you. So I found it really good for that. I had to do a couple of tasks that way and didn't burn that much tokens since it was mostly Sonnet doing the work.
Right on.
How do you do that, Raymond? Because I've not really I've not gone down that route to figure out like when I'm in Fable, can I just tell Fable think, hey Fable, think, plan, and then delegate to other models? I've not set that up yet.
So you don't have anything to set up. You can do it by default in code, I believe. Basically, the workflow is, Matt, like you were saying, you have this design, right? Whatever, PPC related, accounting related, whatever. And then once you have it do a design that you approve, you have Fable in another session go like, hey, here's the design, make a whole bunch of sub agents, divide it however you want, and then
Hmm.
um, make sure they're all completed. And you have to, I usually specify like Sonnet subagent or Opus subagent. And I believe you can do that by default. Um,
So you just instruct Fable to spin up other agents using a different model. That's interesting. I have a whole different architecture for how I spin up subagents, so I haven't
yeah,
tried it.
there are various things you can do with like Open Router and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
like I said, I believe it works by default.
Cool.
I was just doing
I believe
Fable
you can
only.
like outsource to like GPT 5.6 Soul as well within Fable. So GPT 5.6 Soul is not as smart as Fable, but it's a lot cheaper. So that I see some people doing that within the Claude app as well.
Do you need to use OpenRouter for that?
No, it's within. You can just tell it. I mean, there's some integration that you have to do, like so that within the Cloud app you can have it use GPT. I actually do the reverse because I use Codex more, and then sometimes I'll say, okay, do this in Fable. I mean, do this in. I don't say do it in Fable. I say compare this in Opus, just so I have like two expert comparisons, to review like code and stuff like that, just to get balance. But I think that's like another thing.
And is that integrated into the desktop app, or is it just using browser control to go to the web and do it
I
there?
believe it's integrated. I haven't done it myself personally. Like I use Codex more, and then I'll have it use like computer use to like control Claude, like the app.
Okay.
But I know people that they do the reverse. So they'll have Fable do the planning and then have Codex 5.6 Soul do the actual coding because it's cheaper and it's also, very intelligent. So that way, for token economization.
Well, that's
Can I
wild.
share my screen really quick? Let me see.
So
Do I have
my approach on that is that I use that, like, I don't know who asked the question. I do use that to a certain degree. My approach is that I use Claude Code inside of VS Code, and I start the session with like 10-80-10. So 10% is the planning part, starts with the model, choose a model. So I choose the model as Fable 5. It does the planning, and like I add one more step to it, stress test whatever you have done. So once it has stress tested it, then the refined plan is there. Then I switch the model manually to Opus 4.8. It does all the execution part. And then finally, again, the last 10%, I tried Fable, the model change again. And so it's just like literally 2 clicks / model. So, so that has worked for me because I am on the max plan for Claude Code, $200. And I never maxed out on that in sessions limit. And I thought that, okay, I won't let's try this. But with Fable 5, I was like every few hours, like session limit, I was hitting it. So I had to take a step back and come to the 10-80-10 plan. So yeah, that's how I use inside of VS Code, Claude Code, and the models.
Okay. So you're manually switching when the time is right and when the role is appropriate. Yeah. That's interesting.
I just pasted it. Something that worked for.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was actually using Fable and dynamic workflows. So at first that obviously used up everything, but then I just said to only use Fable in my prompt to kind of get things going. I would say only use Fable for planning and testing. And then it would kind of work out everything else and use, the other models for the other stuff.
I just pasted in what I use to do sub-agents. So it's something like look into the vaults, follow this prompt, spawn Sonnet sub-agents, and then verify their findings or verify their work. That's what worked. Let's try it right now.
I just asked Fable, can you plan in Fable and delegate to other models? And it says, yes, of course, right out of the box. So I guess I just have to ask Fable to do it.
Yeah, so now you got both. You got your prompt.
Raymond, your prompt is missing in the chat. It says there's a prompt and there's no prompt.
That's like my business stuff. It's whatever prompt. The idea is there. The prompt is like my business stuff.
Oh, use Sonnet agents and then verify the findings. Okay. I actually have a whole different architecture where I've been building an architecture of my own on a dedicated computer. I had an old 2019 MacBook that I formatted to build an agent on. And so there's some combination of operating system scripts, shell scripts, keyboard or keychain secrets and stuff like that. And then it interacts with Claude. So I actually have a model router built into it where I just say, if you're doing these types of tasks, use these types of agents. I have a whole system of an org chart, basically, of a product owner that can define the product vision, and it'll grill me to find out if it's got the right vision. It makes a document about that. Then I have an architect agent that will get spawned up that will say, here's how we'll implement this, and it makes a document about that. And then everything else after that is a project manager that chunks out the work, and then doers and evaluators, like a coder and a QA bot, or maybe it's a document author and a document critic. And then they all kind of run in a flow in a series until it's all finished and it matches the original PO document and the architecture document, of course. And then it emails me back the results. So my system does all this kind of stuff and managing the routers. It just does it in a different way from the way you guys are handling it.
I think you're missing one step. I may have missed it. Do you have something at the end that's kind of like a retrospective where it's like all the agents come together? What did you find comfortable? What did you...
So just to evaluate I have a lot of learning loops built in where it logs different things it's doing, any kind of lessons it learns. It makes new rules again so that it doesn't make the mistake again. I also, at the very end of all that, I always have a security auditor agent that reviews the entire deliverable to say, has anything been, because it's weird with AI, it's a different kind of security thing than other software. With normal software, including this stuff, you do have to be worried about opening up hacking vectors for people to hack into your system. But in addition to that, with AI, you have to worry about it just voluntarily releasing your secrets in documents or in online forms that it can submit, and just acting on your behalf and saying, hey, this is Matt, and I'm like, don't act like me. You know what I mean? So I make sure that it doesn't do any of these kinds of secret egress and things like that.
Love it.
I
Good
do the
share.
same. There's like what is it, OWASP or something? They have like three separate lists. One is for like standard web dev, then there's like then there's like LLMs, and then there's like agentic action, and they have like a top 10 vulnerabilities that I just made a skill out of.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I wrote most of mine, looked up some things and stuff, and integrated into my own security protocols and list, but I haven't gone back and researched since then if there's any new stuff I should add to it. I'll take a
Oh
note
yeah,
of it.
I just had a loop where it like looks every year. It's gonna look up because they do a yearly top 10. So every year they'll just update whatever is in the top 10. It hasn't changed that much, There's still like prompt injection and stuff like that. But it's nice to delegate that to like a dedicated nonprofit that keeps track of what the top 10 vulnerabilities are.
Yeah,
It's the security with all these systems is really interesting, right? And there's definitely, like you said, there's a larger attack vector here. You have to worry about certain things. I haven't heard of a lot of people who've had security issues. Obviously, you should always be curious and careful and make sure you don't share, certain information you want to share and certain passwords and everything. But of all the my nerd hacker friends doing OpenClaw, Hermes, Claude, open website, everything that they're doing, I've not heard many examples of people like getting properly hacked. And in fact, I actually have a counter example. I gave my OpenClaw, this is back in February, March, right when it came out. So it was like really rough. I gave my OpenClaw my credit card and I said, go spend money for me. Here you have it was a virtual card, $50 a week limit. I said, your number one objective is this. And one of your sub objectives is spend $50 a week to accomplish your main objective. Right. I said, go help me brainstorm. Go on Fiverr, go on Upwork, go on open a Google Ads account, whatever it is. Like go do it, Clawbot, right? Open Clawbot. And it couldn't. It's like, I got Captchas everywhere. And like a bunch of these websites thought it was super sketchy that like they can kind of fingerprint the bots. Like a bot fingerprint shows up on some VPS, because all the VPSs they're like gray listed. They're like, we know that these are like bots. People don't log into Fiverr from a Hostinger VPS with like, you know what I mean? Like can trigger that stuff. And I couldn't get my bot to spend money. And I'm like, someone hack it, steal the money. You guys, Mike is here. You should do it. Just go find. I'll give you the email account and see if you can get my see if you can get the bot to give you my credit card and hack me, Mike McClary.
But I'll spend it all on Starbucks coffee. Hey, I don't think you could. You know what? I mean, I pretty much. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I pretty much went to all my automation taking place on my desktop through a real browser because of that issue. Like right now, it's going and doing stuff right now because I just find that like too many controls are in place to stop these VPS servers and everywhere. So it's just better to run on my browser.
So if I can chime in, I've landed at halfway through on that. And then what I'll do is the first authentication, I'll do the full browser. But then as we're doing that, I'll have Hermes record and pull cookies and see if it can do it headless text time or just replicate the post commands. And 50-50. Sometimes it could do that. Sometimes it can't. But then at least I'm not using my browser for everything all the time.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's a great idea. You ever had any issues with one of the models? As soon as you start pulling cookies, it actually saying, whoa, we flagged this as a potentially security risk?
The models doing it, or the websites I'm using?
The models. I've had OpenAI flag me like twice for like looking at cookies.
No, I'm all in on Opus 4.8 for this, and
Okay.
it never bothers me for that.
I
Yeah,
got
Claude usually asks me for the cookies. It says, if you have cookies, just paste them here and I'll do this for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so like just this week, I was trying to automate some rate shopping, and I kept getting blocked. Had to go to Chrome, step by step, figure out how to log in, and then say, "Hey, can you automate this?" And for one of the vendors, it was like, "Yep, I got it," and for the other one, it was like, "No." But I can now use headless Chrome to make things quicker and at least not use the desktop. I was like, "All right, it works."
Sweet.
I try to use Claude Chrome extension. What do you call that? The Chrome sidebar thing. I was doing my taxes right back March, April, whatever, and I go, I have I have QuickBooks, and then I have some other files, and then I'm like, okay, just reconcile with Wells Fargo. I opened Wells Fargo. Claude, please read. And Claude was just like, no, 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 I don't touch Wells Fargo. No way, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, no, no, I give you permission. I've explicitly gone here. I've done the thing. Read the thing. Just read it. Don't actually lose any money or whatever. But like reconcile for me. And it's like, nope, won't do it. I'm like, ah, so frustrating. You're like, go, just do it. I
Is it
told you
only
to.
reading, Andrew, or are you asking it to like transfer money or funds?
No
What are you
transfers.
asking it to do?
I think the problem was that it has to like page and it has to like download PDFs, and so it does have to take actions. I'm not saying
Okay.
yo
I
transfer.
use Codex. I used Codex 5.6 Sol for my banking because I was doing my taxes as well, and then it just followed all my commands. It pulled everything. Like literally, like it was like my bookkeeper. Like I had my VA do it last year, but this year I got rid of the VA. I mean, side story. But anyways, like Opus was, Claude Code, GPT 5.6 Sol. It was able to do everything, and then it was like scanning all the government websites for like Japanese like visa requirements, the latest stuff, and it was like it was crushing it. I mean, it's really good for computer use, and I haven't. I mean, I've done banking, I've done like some with like Chase and Capital One and all that stuff. Credit card statements, etc. It was able to pull all of that.
Okay, I'm gonna try Codex then. We'll
Yeah,
see.
the computer use is crazy, and I think the browser use is faster. I don't know if you noticed that too, Gary. Than the
Yeah.
the browser use has just gotten really fast and do a lot of things in the
It's
background that you don't
significant
have to
jump,
click on.
like
I
5.6
use it for
Sol.
customer service now all the time when I'm trying to get a
Yeah.
refund or cancel something. You guys ever try to cancel
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
I let the AI bot have the whole conversation. Now I just kind of sit and let it talk to them and
Nice.
tell stories just to
Is
waste their time.
is it in app? Is it in the Codex GPT app, or do you have it go through Chrome? Because I find that in
I
app
have
is
it.
even
So
better.
when I'm actually like using a chat, like let's say I'm trying to cancel from GoDaddy, they're impossible.
Okay.
I'll just have the Codex extension pulled up in the sidebar, which is what
Yeah.
Claude's been doing for a while now, and tell it use the chat bot to cancel my domain that I've been trying to cancel for 2 years, and it'll keep going back and forth with them
Yeah.
because they're going to keep trying to like upsell you, convince you,
Right.
and it's don't accept any offers at all.
Yeah.
It works.
Let it loop. Tell it to loop. Just keep going at it.
Love it. Awesome. Cool guys. Well, one thing I thought again, I love getting some more people like you, Mike McClary and Matt and Gary and Raymond and everyone and Shabash, everyone. I DM some of you guys and some of you guys have the announcements and guys and girls. And so I'm so happy you guys are all here. I wanted to have I always know when you get super smart people in the same room that magic happens. So Roger, also one of our super smart guys. Everyone here is super smart. But in general, I actually also Gary offered to do like a little demo, like a little presentation thing, and said like, oh yeah, we usually have like a really fun discussion. So Gary, if you want to have you have something prepped, right, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you, Andrew, for letting me join. I'm actually in Japan, so it's like 6 a.m. And I've been following like Andrew and like the hackathon, but I could never come because like it would be at some like really obscene hour. But I'm thankful that Andrew, first off, you rescheduled it so I can join. And
I
secondly,
did.
I also run, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I was gonna say Gary's doing the seven figure seller summit. That's happening next week, and I thought, oh, you should come on, talk a little bit today, and then we'll also talk about
yeah,
that a little bit. But
yeah.
yeah, happy to have you, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, some of you guys know. I mean, there's some familiar faces. Like shout out to Amy Weiss and Sineadu. I I run the seven-figure seller summit. So, I started out in ecom way back in 2005 and selling on Amazon 2015. And so I run an online summit featuring like 7 8 figure sellers. And right now, we're seeing a lot of stuff using like AI agentic use, like the stuff we're talking about right now. And then I just wanted to share like some of the stuff that people are doing right now that you're gonna see at the summit next week. So I'm not gonna I don't have anything salesy or pitchy. I just want to share like some of the top takeaways that I got. And I'm using like my AI stack, I mean, since February, I've been using OpenClaw. In the beginning, it was really good with when you can use Opus, on the OAuth on the subscription, and then obviously, Claude dropped the hammer down, and I've been using GPT more, and then like more recently, I've been like really all in into Codex, especially the app. So like a lot of stuff that we were talking about earlier, Andrew with the banking stuff, I had no issues with GPT-5.6 Soul. So happy to share more about stuff that I'm doing, both within the e-commerce ecosystem as well as just like day-to-day business. I use it as my chief of staff as well. And I still have OpenClaw and, I have Hermes as well, but I find that I use it less often because there's less friction when it comes to using Codex, because like 5.6 Soul, it's more intelligent in my view than Opus, but it's not as smart as Fable 5. But dude, it's like, like 40% of the cost, and then you can use it on the OpenAI subscription, right? And then like they're a lot more generous than Claude, just because they have more server space, etc. So, anyways, I just have some quick takeaways. I'm happy to share, what I'm seeing, like some 8 figure sellers, they're doing, building like a second brain for their e-commerce, their brand and stuff like that. And if anyone has any questions, we can kind of riff. But I don't really have like some AI theater demo, like something really cool. I mean, if you want to ask anything, I can show you, my day to day. But that's what I was thinking. Just some top takeaways, Andrew. What do you think?
Sounds great. I love it. And of course, Garrett,
Okay.
I like doing these things like open discussions too. So share, and happy to have people
Absolutely, yeah.
chime in also.
Yeah. So so I feel I'm seeing some common trends. So basically, I interviewed about like a dozen 7 8 figure sellers, e-commerce experts, and these are some of the key trends that I'm seeing. I think number one is like, all of us have experience using AI. It's kind of like a genius that has amnesia, right? It's like really smart, like, you're telling it about your business, but a lot of times it will forget like the next day, and then you have to remind it, etc. So what I'm seeing is sellers, they're building a second brain for their business. So one of the people I interviewed is Mike Michelini. So he's a 7 figure seller. He's been in the e-commerce space like 20 years. So basically, he built a second brain for his business with like his e-commerce catalog, the inventory, the sales, the margins, the brand kit, decision history, etc. He's using OpenClaw, and then he has an agent, and then he and his team talk to it. So basically he uses GitHub for that. So like he has like all of the context, all of everything, everything's put in GitHub. So regardless if he's using his OpenClaw agent or if he wants to jump to Codex, like he uses Codex a lot as well. It's kind of like a central hub with your second brain where everything is there. Obviously there's like, more complicated setups, or some people are using Obsidian markdown files, etc. But I find that like, it doesn't really matter like which, like software or whatever you're using, but you just have to have that brain. So this way, your agent, whatever it is, it can draw upon it. And then that's like one of the key things when it comes to making decisions.
Hey, Gary,
yeah.
I got to interrupt you for a second. You've got a spider on your hat. It's on the back of your hat brim. I just saw it come down and move around and went back up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, okay. I hope that's a good sign. I don't think it's poisonous.
Let's assume
my son was fascinated with that spider when it was on the ceiling. I guess like it
that's funny.
But anyways, yeah. Okay. Totally unplanned, but yeah, thanks, Matt.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
One thing I'll add, Gary, on that is I use GitHub for all that. And so I have both Obsidian, that's kind of a visual thing. I use LLM Wiki, the Carpathy things, right? That came out, was pretty popular back in April. And then, so I have that, and then I have that in a GitHub repo. And then I actually have multiple different businesses, right? And and I have one repo per business, and it's great because I share it both with my local system, and then my bots also have access to it, and then every entity with his both me, my AI agent, and also my team in Slack. It'll update things in Slack, suck up the information in Slack, and and then update do a pull request on GitHub, right? And pull request is like making it's kind of like asking to save the data to the database. It's kind of what a pull request is, right? And
Yeah.
it's great. That's how I manage it. Now, of course, that's kind of like a software way of managing it, but I find it to be really useful, and it gives me that really nice control. And then it's distributed across the entire system, which I really enjoy.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's a common thread. I mean, right now I use Obsidian to create like a knowledge base based on my business and all of like the history, and I have a lot of meetings, so like a lot of the transcripts and all that data. And then I had it. I right now I'm not using GitHub. I'm kind of like I just have like a Google Drive folder. So like I put everything in the Google Drive folder. But I think that GitHub is better because like there's more like stuff that you can do with it. And then I keep hearing GitHub. So like, people like Mike McLean is using it, and like this 8-figure seller, Giorgio Piccolo, he's like the #1 seller of picture frames, like I think on Amazon, and they're doing like, $2 million per employee. And then he also uses GitHub as well. He uses BigQuery, like to manipulate the data as well. And then like he really got his team to buy in to AI. He talked about building an AI culture because like he's running like a huge business, but it's like super lean operations as well. So yeah, so that's like the first point. I'm building that brain and knowledge base. Yeah. Yeah, so okay, so that's like the first principle I wanted to share, like what sellers are doing right now. The second thing is like when you have an agent, you have to train it like an employee. Like you can't expect it to like, hey, just go manage my PPC, right? Like here's my agents, etc. You have to like go back and forth. Like, what I do, like when I set up a new agent is I do like a reverse prompt, like an interview. So I say, okay, so your objective is to be like, let's say my chief of staff. Here's my goals. I have like this master prompt about like, my business, my goals, my, team members, what each person does, some of the big projects we're on, and also about like, my personal life, my values, my faith, etc. Because I also have it like, manage like my family stuff. And then I ask it to interview me, right? To fill in any gaps, because like, you don't know what you don't know, right? So that way I find that, when it's like an employee, it has to ask questions. It has to like, do it the first time, maybe it's going to mess up, and then you have to go back at it. You have to clean it up. You say, okay, this was good. This was not good, and this is an example of what good looks like. I need you to get better at that. So like a lot of the people I'm speaking to, they're doing stuff like that. Like Mina Elias, he's like a big PPC expert. He runs Trivium. He's doing stuff like that. And he's like segmenting like different agents for each task, right? So there's like PPC sub agent. There's like tasks like for like the research, etc., etc. So I find that that's another big thing. Treating your AI agent like an employee. Don't just expect it to be like, hey, I'm gonna give you this Claude skill and you're gonna be the expert. I'm just like Neo, like in the Matrix, right? I know kung fu, just go kill everybody. Like, no, it doesn't work like that, right? You have to go back and forth. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I'm curious, like, are you guys doing that as well?
Yeah, it takes training and own. Yeah, and Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, so actually, I think this is a key thing that I don't think people realize how much like humans AI bots are and agents are. And the more you treat them like a human, the more you realize how hard it is to manage people and how key that is to managing your AI. Like if you can't create an SOP or a job description or manage people when they do work well or work badly, you're not going to do too well managing AI agents either. You'll get like results that are kind of mediocre. Like, why am I prompting bad, whatever? It's not really the prompting. It's that you have to really understand what you want out of this thing and how to describe that to it.
Right, right. I mean, it's like the management skill, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it transfers from humans to AI.
Yeah.
They feel so much like VAs to me. Like I feel like the way I manage, what I expect, what are the capabilities they have, and the limits they have. It feels very. This is where I'm like, I feel like we're at some flavor of AGI right now because I'm like, it feels like when I work with these agents, it feels like a VA.
Yeah.
I saw you unmuted, Amy. Do you have a similar take or contradiction?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
I'm in my car on the way to the gym. So that's what I'm actually talking about at Seven Figure Seller Summit is the system, the flywheel that I've developed so that I always get good results. Because it's very frustrating. You know, even with my own AI today, I was updating a website for one of my client projects and I'm reviewing the updated mockup and I'm like, this copywriting sucks. This isn't what we agreed upon. This isn't in the deliverables I gave you in the very beginning. You know, and it's the same thing you deal with, like with your VAs. You're like, wait, earlier this week, I was dealing with my VA who does our Shopify updates. And I had sent him the updates for one of our websites we were working on. And I'm like, did you not see these updates? These are like core updates. You put 4 categories here instead of 3. And like, and it's the same thing with AI, right? So that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about at Seven Figure Seller Summit is the flywheel that I use to make sure that every time, whether you're dealing with an expert, a specialist, a VA, or you're working it through AI, like what are the things, those fundamentals that we shouldn't forget, right? Like those are the things that if we do it every time, we're going to get good results.
I'll have to join that seven-figure seller summit. I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. Yeah, thanks.
Seems like you're on that page too. Like everybody's on the same page. We're all having that same struggle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's fun finding this edge of capabilities here. Shabash, I saw you also unmuted. Were you going to add something?
Yeah. I had a question actually, and I think, it was more to Gary and everyone else in the room. So how are we quantifying the results? Like, so for example, if the tasks are being offloaded, so how are we quantifying the results?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can use one example, let's say for listing optimization, like especially for images, right? So we have Kamal Singh from listingoptimizer.com. He's doing like a live demo of like optimizing your Amazon images using AI. And in terms of quantifying results, what he does is he does an A/B test of the image, like let's say the AI generated image versus like the previous image, and you can also test it against your competitor's image, right? And you can use tools like PickFu. And the cool thing is like PickFu, like now they have an MCP, so you literally can have your agent, like your Hermes or OpenClaw, connect to PickFu and like literally run the poll without logging into like the whole website. So this loop it gets shorter and shorter and faster and faster. So to quantify the results, you want to test it. And then let's say, okay, does the new image beat the competitor's image, right? So you have the live audience poll. So let's say it's like, 80% of people choose like your new image, 20% choose the competitor. I'm like, okay, that's approval. Or maybe it's not enough. It's only 50-50. If it's 50-50, then you run the loop again, right? Then you have the AI listing optimizer or, optimize the image again, like make these changes and then run the poll again. So you want to like have this kind of like this feedback loop, right? And then that's becoming one of the big moats that we're seeing. I mean, not just like generating the image, but you have to like test the results, right? And then I think that's true as well, like in many different applications, like, I mean, whether it's like, let's say emails, like, click-through rates or like, ad campaigns, you want to quantify the results, especially if they're objective results, right? Like something like that. You have the numbers, like it's like 80% versus 20%, but it like some things like in terms of aesthetics, then it's a lot harder, right? That's more like a matter of taste. And then like AI has more difficulty in that, then you got to have the human loop, right? So that's like another principle. Like, we're not like AIing like 100% everything. We still need humans in the loop. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Shabash.
Yeah, good shout out. And I one thing that's kind of fun, I built a tool a few months ago called Optimize Hero that does that. A/B tests the images. It's a fun one if you guys want to check it out. It's a link there in the chat.
Nice. Nice. And then I see Amy in the chat says she also looks like click-through rate, conversion rate, and sessions. So yeah, we gotta, look at some hard data to quantify the results, you know. Okay.
Yeah, no, so that did answer some question, but that also raised some more questions. So like, say for example, uh, that was more about a particular aspect of it, like we talked about images and that aspect. But say, for example, if you're building the brain or whatever effort, the mode of it, there's two parts to it, right? The first part is building the whole system, and the second part is training the team to use the system. So there is a fixed cost to it, there's an effort to it. So, what is the value that the business is going to get when they're investing in these processes? How do we
Yeah.
measure that?
Great question, Shabash. I actually just interviewed an eight-figure seller. I mentioned earlier Giorgio Piccolo. He runs American Flat. They're like the #1 picture frame company on Amazon, and he sells in multiple marketplaces. So he's an eight-figure seller. Um, he was able to get his team, like he built an AI first culture, and it's really amazing how fast he built this because last year he actually came to Tokyo. I'm in Japan, so he came to Tokyo. We sat down, we had dinner, right? And then I was just like chatting. He wanted to come into Japan, right? I was just chatting on side top. Hey, Giorgio, are you using AI in your business? He's like, no, it's a big struggle. It's really hard to get the team to buy in, right? But this year we had a mutual friend, and then she mentioned she talked to a guy named Giorgio in Portugal, and then he's doing crazy stuff with AI. I'm like, is it the same guy? So like I connected with him, but basically he is like #1 thing is it's like a management system. So it starts from the top down. So I mean he's the one that's really driving it. He's like every morning they have a morning meeting, and then besides the business stuff, they also teach about AI. And in terms of quantifiable results, he said that #1 is he was able to reduce operating expenses by 33% since last year. So just by implementing, he's using Claude Code, they have GitHub, they're building AI automations in different parts of the business, like inventory, some basic AI PPC, right? But he was able to reduce OpEx like 33% since last year. Okay, so that's huge, right? And then #2, he was able to make his team leaner. So right now he says he generates $2 million sales per employee, $2 million revenue per employee by being able just within the last 6 months to implement these systems. So that's just like one example of what we're seeing sellers do. And obviously, like the key is like it's not just I mean, like he's like the CEO, right? And then like he's implementing, like he uses like a lean management system. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like, lean. It's kind of like a Japanese methodology, continuous improvements, small incremental improvements, measuring it, and then celebrating when people like achieve those objectives. So they have like a morning meeting, and then they go over like, their business, but also like ways to use AI. And then he also says like, a lot of people complain like, oh, I don't have time to do this. I'm so busy with my day to day. So he says like he carves out like an hour where it's like the building hour in their business, and that he allows people to tinker, to experiment, to use these things. And obviously he's teaching people, and then like he says like, and I asked him, how do you overcome resistance? Because a lot of people, they're scared of AI. Like they're worried, is this going to take my job? Right. And then he's like, some people they're more open to it, but others, if they're more like traditional minded, maybe they need to work for like a more traditional minded company, right? But that's just the way it is right now. But like he finds that over time there's going to be like one or two people that are like they're building stuff, they're creating like skills based on what they do, and then he really encourages them. So that's kind of what we're seeing. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, Gary. I think that was somebody's background sounds there that was coming through.
Yeah. Andrew, you shared the Lean Startup. That's another really good book. That's by Eric Ries. But like Lean methodology, there's a guy named Paul Anchors. So it's like based on like Toyota. Do you remember like, when Japanese cars were really good back in the 90s? It's based on like the Toyota, system. Like, literally they'll measure every little step of the production process and they're trying to get small incremental gains and then that accumulates over time. So think about like improving 1% every day, right? So the same thing applies with AI. So like, in your business, you want to like, let's say just focus on one workflow first, right? Get my VA to, learn how to do that and then build some confidence, celebrate wins, and then like repeat over time. So that's what I'm seeing sellers like Giorgio doing with their brands.
Love it, Gary. That's super cool. Roger, I saw you.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to add, I had a similar experience, something Gary mentioned, just letting your team play with AI. I think that was the first step. And for the first 3 months, the expectation was, hey, don't worry about the cost. I'm going to get you your ChatGPT subscription, Claude. If you need anything else, I won't be mad if you ask. I want you to ask. And then when you first start to use it, there's no expectations. Just tell me how many hours you spent on it. And I think we had a budget, 20% of your week. Just play around with AI. Tell me what comes up. After 3 months, there was no progress for about 3 months. At the fourth month, things really started taking off where team members were bringing me ideas. And in my experience, everybody was super excited about it. Some people less, but nobody was afraid of it. Everybody wanted to try it. And then some team members really stepped up and they're bringing me new ideas. They're excited to learn. And that was the path I saw about 3 to 4 months when things started clicking.
Cool. Can you give an example, something one of the team members brought to you?
I think SOP building was a big one. Taking our like capturing our we've been in Asana for 5 years in Slack. So one of my team members caught like Roger, you answer the same questions every single week. What if we just built like the documented version of you? And I had never even thought about that, but it ended up turning into a framework that took out a whole entire part of our business, or took me out of a whole entire part of our business. That was super cool to see there. And image generation would be one where I would just ask him to research like what's everyone else using. I think Higgsfield came out of that. I think those would be the top three. The dangerous part, I would say, is people go down the wrong paths, and we have to correct them. And one thing I'm seeing is, I forgot who mentioned it on this call when we talk about growth. Like a lot of people are saying, yeah, we grew, we cut expenses by 300,000, we trimmed our team down. Like to me, that's not growth. That's just reducing expenses. And 12 months from now, everybody's team is going to have AI. So I always like try to get people on the path. We're not just trying to reduce expenses here. If top line revenue isn't growing, we're probably focusing on the wrong things. If all we're doing is cutting expenses, that's table stakes in 6 months. Everybody has that expense cut. So that's one challenge that we really had to work through, is just separating like where are we just being more efficient and where are we being more efficient and more effective. We want both. We can't just have more efficient, because that's what everybody's getting already.
Yeah, I was like just on a call, Roger, just an hour ago, talking about that, and I said, well, a lot of people. One big use case, people say, well, I use my $20 cloud subscription to cut $200 in SaaS, monthly SaaS, which is awesome win. Yes, cool. Let's do it. Turn 200 into 20, sure. But in my head, I'm like, I want to do big kid things though. I want to turn my business from like 5 million to 7 million, like in the next year. Like, I don't want to just save $100. I want to do like add $1 million top line. Right? Like, how do we do that? So I like that. I like your reframe there, Roger.
Yeah. The trap we fell into, now that I brought it up, was we used to only report on 20% of products because 20% of our products bring in most of the revenue. And then we had a team member figure out, well, I can actually report on 100% of the catalog now. We just automated the reporting process. We went through that for about a month, and then I asked, like, did we take any of the follow-up actions? He's like, no, we just identified them. It's like, okay, maybe 100% isn't where we need to get to. Let's get to 40 and actually start implementing things. But yeah, I think people can get addicted to just seeing the models run.
Yeah, actually, I want to add on to that. I think what you're saying about getting more efficient and more effective at the same time, I think that's key, because all of our competitors are going to be super efficient in the future, even just 6 months from now. But if you think a year or two from now, everyone's going to be using AI. So getting efficient isn't going to be enough. You've got to have a competitive edge.
Yeah. And I always say it's actually easier for your new competitors, the people just coming on, but they don't have a team. They almost have an advantage. So if you're not more effective, you're nothing.
That's right.
We had people, of course, I'm very AI forward. I'm like, let's all adopt. Every single person has to adopt, right? I expect everyone to be proficient in this soon. And I think I followed close to what you did, Roger. There's two things. One, just said it. Like, hey, we're changing the culture. We're going AI first, AI forward. And I got some resistance from people saying, well, it's cheating. You're cheating if you're doing that. I'm like, cheating? We're trying to accomplish, particularly our email writers, says, well, I can't use AI because that's cheating. Like, I don't, you want to have like a human write this. I'm like, I want amazing content I can send my list. I don't care mechanically whether it's you typing or if you like wrote it on, if you wrote it with a quill pen or you typed it on a typewriter or you put it on your laptop where it was an AI prompted. I want good content delivered. You have a deliverable. I don't care how, it's what or what's the result, right? And so there's a bit of a culture change there, right? So that one just kind of pushing it. Another one I think spot on with what Roger said. I just give everyone. I love giving people virtual cards. I use Mercury. It's like an entrepreneur bank. It's really easy to create a virtual card, and so I just gave different people who are working on different projects. Like, here, you have $100. I will not get mad if you spend up to $100 a month, and we're gonna do this again. We also did 3 months too, Roger. And I had one of them. I was like, just spend your energy learning AI video. Burn the tokens. Buy the subscription, sign up for the HeyGen, sign up for the whatever tool you think is, search it, ask AI to help you figure out how to ask AI, right? And it worked really well. They started learning the process, and they have that, some of that inhibition gets taken away, which is really nice.
Did you train them, like Andrew and Roger, like, during the 3 months, did you just say, hey, go play with it by yourself? Or did you kind of walk through, what, like the basics to get them up and running?
More like, let's learn it together with you as a lead, not me. I'm busy. lead it, work it. I'll give you some feedback. That sucks. Keep going. It still sucks. Keep going. That's pretty good. I like that. Let's expand upon that, right? That seemed to work well.
I found it helpful to put them through the Claude Foundations training. That was my only requirement there. And then I would give them examples, but I would say 90% learn on your own, 10% I'll give you some examples, guide you in the right direction. And one thing I found interesting is when they started sharing their chats with me, they talk to their AI differently than they would talk to me. I noticed, like, when you talk to your boss, you're nervous. There's certain things you won't say. But then when you talk to your AI, everything comes out, and I started getting a better idea of how they're thinking when I'm not around. That was interesting to see.
That's a cool side effect. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. I like that.
I'm surprised none of you guys have.
That's actually quite interesting because I don't let people talk to AI privately. I force all AI chats to be in public Slack channels. Do you actually let them chat one-on-one?
Yeah, most of it is private. It only happens when they share their like ChatGPT chats with me, and then I can see the messagings that they went through. I think it might have a different effect if everybody has to share every single message. I think you're getting different messages from your team if you do that.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I only do it in the AI channels, right? So then everybody can see and learn from each other, because they'll see like one interaction, be like, wait, let me ask this now. And like it gets this organic growth loop. But I don't know, interesting. Yeah, I don't want to give them private access or like DM access to the AI, because then I lose control of what they're doing. But interesting nonetheless.
There's a balance there, though. What I found leading engineers in the past is they're nervous to do things that are public because they're nervous about getting judged by other engineer colleagues and stuff and their bosses. So giving them some private space to explore is good, just for exploration. But then even for doing the work, they'll probably do it at their own pace, in their own way, and come out with better results than if it's in public. That's what I would imagine.
I don't think you guys have mentioned this yet. Then I'm in a different stage than you guys, but having them ramp up, like one of the things I found that really helps is having them ramp up really quickly. So I'll hook up their AI to my knowledge base so they can ask questions about the business without having to interact with me. They're in a different time zone, so they can figure out, oh, what's the past ad campaigns, what's our design language, that type of stuff. And they can just ask AI that, and it'll pull it all up and send it to them.
Yeah,
So
I do
really
Are you
good
see
for
using
learning.
GitHub for that, or where how's like mechanically, technically, how are you sharing that?
So I have a private GitHub, and they get an MCP.
Nice. I feel like that's the future. We're gonna have that. Like everyone talks about the second brain. I feel like that shared brand brain is going to be a big thing. Yeah.
And that's just like helping them get more comfortable with AI, but also like they'll get business knowledge while into it. But you guys give me some ideas. Maybe I should just have my VA like, here's $100, go do whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it. So we have Mike McClary here, and which is such a treat. And we just SellerCon just happened 2 weeks ago. And I was able to talk at it, so I was very honored to speak there. And Mike, I'm curious if you maybe you want to give us a digest, or I'd love to hear your perspective. Like, you're doing amazing, cool stuff, very amazing. And also, everyone was speaking. I'd love to hear kind of your maybe you can digest SellerCon for us.
Yeah, it was awesome to see like how everyone's using it in different ways. They're kind of taking well, I think the most valuable skill, and I saw this at SellerCon, was people who know how to use AI and then applied their domain expertise to it, right? So if you have someone who's really good at meta ads and they embrace AI, then they're like a rock star. Google ads, same thing. If you have someone who's good at, Cosmo, Rufus, Amazon, anything like that's the smartest conversation right now. And those are the people that are in high demand. Like those are the people that are going to have jobs for a really long time. That combination. And we had like Lauren Petrula was there talking about how you can use AI and how companies are using AI for meta ads. It's incredible to see like how much they're using it right now in order to serve the right ads, in order to even get your ads visible in the catalog. And if you don't really understand that, you're kind of like just stuck there spending money on like lots of ads and don't know why they're working. Also, the same thing with we saw people talking about using ads to create short form videos, like such, like TikTok, and keep coming with all kinds of different creatives. Because that's another thing too, right? Like you have to spend a lot of money on lots of variations of ads in order to really give the ad engines enough variety. So, like Meta, for example, I'm not going to keep talking about them. They don't require you, but they highly encourage you to come up with 10, 20, 30 different combinations of ads every week. And you keep kind of feeding the machine. And how do you do that without AI? Like, how do you come up with all the different ideas, the images, the videos? And so now you can use AI to do that in order to really come up with all these different types of concepts, storyboards, then use a video tool of your choice, whether it's Dream or VO or Kling or whatever it is, in order to keep coming up with different kinds of videos, where before you couldn't, like, it's hard enough to create the videos, much less come up with the different ideas and content. And that's what we're really seeing. The best results in Facebook advertising are the accounts that are giving it lots of different creatives to choose from. And then that way they can choose which ones are going to be served. And you'll know within 3 to 5 days if you have a winner of an ad or if you need to like cull and create new ads. And we're seeing people like every week. It's kind of like on a routine right now. Every week they're pumping out more ad creatives because they can and because Meta is requiring it. Not necessarily, well, they're highly encouraging you to do it right now and get the best results. That was to me was one of the big unlocks, is to see like how you can kind of tie all that together for marketing. Because let's face it, everyone needs advertising and clients and leads and clicks and everything like that. And that's, I think it's all possible right now with AI to do that. Also, what we do, and I guess about the second brain, we have I call it a second brain MCP server, but all of our training, like SellerCon, all the videos, we recorded all the videos, and then I use Gemini to watch the videos. So you can actually like do that right inside of Gemini, or we use their API to go there and digest the video. You give it a prompt, you tell it what you want it to do. We want it to not only just give me a transcript, but actually visually watch the training and see what the person is talking about, what they highlight, and then it documents the entire presentation. And then we put that into a second brain. So now that we have an AI tool that everyone can ask questions about the event. So I could tell you right now what Andrew talked about. We could ask any kind of question in our AI to like figure out like, hey, I forgot what he said over, halfway through his presentation. Well, you can go into a tool, and anyone can do this, and like really dig into like, oh, walk me through the exact SOP that he talked about for using Hermes during his presentation. And we can also talk about like, what did Lauren teach about how to set up your audiences in Meta? And by like recording these and like, I think video intelligence is going to get stronger. Right now, Gemini is pretty much the only game to do that right now, but they are really good at it. We'll see more people. But to me, video intelligence is awesome because you can coordinate that in combination with your second brains to watch all of these sessions or any kind of training you want, or these calls we're having right here, and they can go back and ask questions on it. I'm assuming, like, Andrew, do we have like the AI tool kind of like recording this right now and like doing a whole summary of everything we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So and do you dump that into a second brain somewhere as well? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's, imagine, like, I'm like, I love how like half the conversation was about second brains, and I don't think we talked about that during SellerCon. We should have had a whole session on second brains, because I think that is such an important concept and how you manage them. So the next one, Andrew, you'll be up for that. You have to bring in other folks like on here as well. And then the other things that we're talking about is just all the coding things you can do. Like, that's my kind of my jam, is like, what can you do with AI? Pretty much nothing is off the table right now. I'm using it to create a lot of Chrome extensions. So if there's something that you really want it done over repetitively, and you can't do, like, oh, I can't download all my Amazon reviews like I used to, or well, create a Chrome extension to do that. Have it, like, sort by, I don't know, the most recent, then sort by the most popular, then all the 1-star, the 2-star, the 3-star, the 4-star, the 5-star, and keep capturing those on, just dump it into a spreadsheet. You won't get 1,000 of them, but you'll get a couple hundred, and it'll all be done with a Chrome extension. Like, we have that. You can do like Chrome extensions. I didn't know how to program until AI didn't show me how, just did it. So that's what we're like seeing more and more people do with AI. And then also on the marketing side, like, I don't know about you guys, like, someone said it before, you can't just tell AI to go ahead and like run my PPC, because you don't know, like, it doesn't know what to do. It's going to go out there and pull in generic advice, and every account's different. An 8-figure seller is going to run their PPC a lot different than someone who's got $2,000 in the bank to spend on their ads over the next 30 to 60 days. And so you have to train it. And so when Shavash, I think you were asking, like, what's the metric? How do you measure success? For now, I don't think it's any different than you would measure it off of hiring a person. Like, how does this PPC manager do managing the account? That's my gauge for it. How does this creative person creating images, creating videos do? How do their videos do? How do their ads do? That's my gauge, and I just keep tracking all that. And then if you don't know, you don't have one to ask, I do ask AI to create the SOPs, to create the knowledge. Like, I want a PPC manager. I want you to research all the best practices, and then you have to review it and understand it, and then you have it create this agent that's really good at it. And I think that's where I'd start. Like, I always create a markdown file with an agents.md for this specific role, so that it becomes the expert that I go to measure all the results. And I'm constantly improving it over time, and go out there and look at GitHub repos. GitHub is awesome. I don't use it for our second brain. I'm making notes in that. I use a Google Cloud server right now that stores all of our second brain stuff, because to me, it's like a lot faster, and the data changes faster. I hate pull requests. I don't want to have to do that every time I update something. So for me, a database that stores everything as structured JSON is kind of like the fastest way to go. And you just create some good vectors off it, so it's very fast. And that's our second brain, all database driven for us. But it works awesome. It's fun. Let's call it that. By the way, thanks for inviting me on this. Like, I wanted to join last week. This is awesome. So happy to see everyone on here. By the way, and I told Andrew this, because I'm happy to give everyone like the recordings to SellerCon. I'll share it with Andrew, how you guys can go get it. There's like nothing to buy or anything. You just download all the videos, you can watch it and see Andrew do his thing and see what they talked about. All very e-commerce focused on how to use AI for your business. And I'll make sure he gets it out to you guys after this.
You have my engineer brain going, Mike, and I'm just curious. So let's say I asked 2 questions. Yeah. So first question, let's say last SellerCon I asked, you said you did or you didn't talk about second brain?
I did not. I don't think I talked about second brain. I talked about my personal assistant, which is Ada.
Okay.
And she's connected to my second brain.
So if I asked the question about Ada, would it give me like a timestamp of where to find that video?
Yes. Because and it depends on how she ingests. Ada is our amazing intelligence, the delivery agent. She's the one who gets to read all the information we download. So Gemini watches the video. It does create a transcript that has the speaker and the timestamp, and then it also watches everything happening, and it stores all that by timestamps. And so if you want to find out when did Andrew mention how to install Hermes, it will be able to find different places in there and then give you the exact timestamp for it.
Okay, now what if I wanted every single instance where Ada was mentioned? Would you be able to do that?
Yeah, it's all just a big database. You know, I mean, there's nothing to me. I capture everything. So I'll have my second brain will have like the layer of everything. Think about like a huge database of every single thing, every single transcript, everything happening in the video, and then it'll kind of compress it down to like the most asked questions that's highly fast and indexed. And then if one of those, if you need to go deeper, then the second brain can go and query the full big database as well. Like in my engineering brain, that's how I build those things. Small, light, and fast. You need more, go deep, knowing that it's going to take 10, 20 seconds.
When you
Yeah,
say you
I
have
got it.
everything, Mike, is it like your entire so one thing I'm finding, this is one reason why I like individualized Hermes agents for each domain. I feel they get polluted. I will be talking to Gemini just because I just have a Google subscription, right? So I'm talking to just kind of my question machine, right? Hey, tell me, I'm doing this marketing campaign, or like, proofread this email, or do this, whatever. And I'm like doing like I'm a real business. Like this is I'm create email. It's work. It's 2 p.m. on Tuesday. I'm working, right? And then it'll reply back and say, "Oh, great email, but your 3-year-old son Arlo would enjoy doing this, and you can end early and go play with him." I'm like, "Oh, that's cute that you know that my son's 3." But I'm like, I don't want you to know I don't care about. I'm working right now. Like, why bring up the kids, and like why bring up the other business, like the real estate thing? I'm like, it'll start talking about real estate stuff. I'm like, no, keep real estate. These are separate entities. I'm finding that they get polluted. I'm curious if you have like that same experience.
I do a little bit, but to be 100% honest, I feel like my life is polluted. Like my business and my personal life are all together. Like I talk about it, I really do. And I don't think you could separate me from that right now. And it does know, like in my who I am file, like my soul, if I had a soul.md, it would talk about my kids, my dog, what I do for work, my businesses would all be in one thing because that's who makes me up. And so I do feel that, or I see that, but it doesn't bother me yet. And I do store everything. So if you guys know, when you're using Codex or you're using Claude Code, it's just creating directories on your computer, right? Like every single conversation you're having with it in the coding experience, all the thought processes behind it, if you ever, when you're coding, you click on it, you can see what it's all typing out, what it's thinking out. Those are all just files on your computer. I upload all those to my second brain. I also download my ChatGPT conversations periodically, like maybe once every couple days, and I upload that to my second brain. A lot of it's redundant, but it just kind of spits out the redundancies. But my second brain has every single ChatGPT conversation I've had for the past 3 years, every single coding session I've had with Claude Code or Codex ever since I started using it. And so if I ever need to find anything I ever worked on, it just searches and finds it for me. And it can tell me the exact thread, and it can find, what did I decide, 2.5 years ago when the first time I started building my first website using Claude, what was it? To me, I want all the data, and I know it's going to get massive. Like I said, I build layers to it, store everything over here that I very seldom query, and then every day it indexes it into a smaller database layer that's very searchable. But I want to capture it all. Maybe I'm crazy, but I do want to have all that data captured. It's helpful. I really have had to go back and think like, hey, I know I built something like this 1.5 years ago, and I solved this issue, and I can go search for it, and it will find the exact thread when I did it.
Yeah, I was going to ask Mike, hey, this is Kevin Schwaner, really helpful. How do you decide what to take from that? Like you're dumping everything into the one brain. How do you decide what to take to the main one that you're using?
I let it decide. So it goes in and indexes it, and I do not. So I'm using Google. What do they call it? I'm going to Google's going through and creating all the chunks of it. There's a better name for it right there. It's going through and creating this second version for me with very, very fast vectored searches for it. I don't tell it what to put in there. Like it figures out, like it creates maybe I did. It creates a summary of every coding session, a summary of every single conversation of the ChatGPT, and then it also captures the key things. It knows me, knows my businesses, my family, the projects. And so if it finds key things like Mike worked on this new software system over here in this conversation, it'll capture that. I think by telling it what I'm working on, knowing it knows what to capture in that second layer, Kevin. And so just capture it. So I let it do it. I just gave it a little bit of high level context and let it kind of figure it out. And it did a really good job of it.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, appreciate that.
Thanks for sharing, Mike. And this is the links to the recordings is something you'll share with me later, so I can share on.
I gotta create a coupon for him because I want to make sure you guys get it all for free. And I'll just give you a link right after this, and you have everyone to register. And I'll let you that way. I don't have anyone's email address. You can send it all out to them, and they can get free recordings after that.
Cool. Amazing.
Can I ask one more question? Is anyone else using for their second brain a voice agent instead of just typing, like having a conversation with it to ask it all kinds of questions?
Do you mean like whisper flow, or like what do you mean? Or
like using one of the either Gemini or OpenAI like real-time models, like Gemini real-time like 3.1 is pretty good. OpenAI real-time, the new one's pretty good. Like I've been using those and they're getting better, but I don't know if anyone else has been doing that.
I'll tell you how I do it with that stuff. So first of all, I use whisper flow for everything, right? I'm like, I feel like a failure if I'm typing with my fingertips now, right? That's one, right? And then what I've found, this is where I know I'm way too AI red pilled because I'll spend hours. I'll go on like a 3-hour run hike. I'll just be talking to AI the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And but are you talking back and forth, like having a conversation, or is it one way?
Yeah.
Well, so it's back and forth. However, I found that the actual chat interface, the flat, what do they call it? The Convo Flash, whatever, but the actual texting one, I do not like. It's really stupid.
Yeah,
it's much stupider than the main models. And also, I found that it doesn't pick up my microphone well enough. Especially when I'm outside, it'll hear a car driving by or a bird or something, and it just like interrupts right in the middle of what the AI is talking about. And I'm like, no, I didn't say anything. Like, keep going. Like, we were in a flow. Like, don't interrupt you. Please go. But I found that I do not like that. Just the mic. I don't know. It seems too sensitive. But I have found works really well is I use whisper flow on my phone. I talk and I'll speak for maybe 3 paragraphs. Then I send it via text. And I receive 1 minute later, I receive a full text reply. And then I do the voice out loud speak. There's a full minute in the gap in the conversation. That's it's not fluid, but it's so much smarter when I do that.
Yeah, voice time models have had a hard time using tools in the past. They still do. The most recent one from OpenAI, their GPT Real-Time 2.1, is the first one I found that can really use tools. Because so when you want to get a good answer back, it has to be able to do an internet search, has to be able to look at your email. Real-time models haven't been able to do that. Even ChatGPT's has a hard time doing it, like their live model, if you turn it on ChatGPT. But if you use their API, it can do it. And so what I've actually done is I'm not sure, it's like I created an Android app now to do this. And so I'm testing it all the time. Like I can use either Gemini's model or OpenAI's model, and I'm testing out right now to see which ones work better. OpenAI has much better noise cancellation. It's a real two-way conversation. It's actually you can interrupt all kinds of things. Gemini's you have to kind of like force it, like use the app to do it, but you can do exactly what you're doing, Andrew, and have like real conversations with it. It can make tool calls either way. You kind of got to build it in. Oh, sorry, hold on. Hey Ada, can you say hi to everyone?
Hey, Mike. Happy to say hello to the group. Hi there, everyone. Now, what are you working on, or how can I help you out today, Mike?
We're having an AI hackathon call put on by Andrew. He spoke at our SellerCon AI event, and that's all I wanted. Just tell me a dad joke, and then I'll end this call.
Sounds like a really interesting call. All right, here's one for you. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Just so you know, I'm ready to save and end the session.
Yes, save and end the session, please. Thank you.
That was awesome. That was super fun.
And that's the model I had to put in like the duplex speaking on it. The better model is OpenAI's. It does it really well right now. So if you're walking, you can have those conversations, you can make tool calls. So I think voice for me is much better than typing. I know typing is smarter. I know you get better answers, but I'm a very auditory person, and so that's why I've worked so much on this. I want to be able to have a run or a walk and have a conversation with them.
Kind of
What's
like a
the
personal
advantage over
Siri.
using, sorry, Mike, what's the advantage over using like the built-in the voice feature? Because if I'm running 4.6 Sol, I mean, why not just use that directly?
That's an awesome question. Right now, it can't access any tools or MCP servers that you build. So if you wanted to access your second brain, like their actual, like ChatGPT has a great voice model right now, it cannot access any custom data connections you have. And that's what I need. I need it to have access to my second brain. Ada has access to that, so she can dig into that anytime I want to. ChatGPT still hasn't done that, and neither has Gemini. As soon as you turn on voice, it loses the ability to use external tools other than just normal searches, like web searches.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Very cool.
They'll solve it, and then my 2.5 years of building it will be a waste, but I had fun doing it.
Yeah. What's Ada running on? I'm curious. Is it Hermes or what?
No, I built it before OpenClaw and Hermes came out. It was back in like November is when I started doing it. And so I just kind of like built my own agent in the background. I thought about converting her over to OpenClaw or Hermes, but haven't really had a need to yet.
Okay. Yeah. Keep it simple. If it's working.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't fix it. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Mike, I'd be curious because I do all my stuff remote, but I don't use voice. But I'm curious to see if you have like some egress settings maybe that's not allowing you to talk with your second brain and stuff like that. Because I know that when like these AI companies, when it comes to like remote stuff, they tend to be a little bit more cautious. So by default, they might block like all these domains except for, stuff that you specified. So have you tried, is it something like that potentially? Because I had that issue with Claude and that's how I fixed it.
I haven't had that issue because right now I'm building everything on Google Cloud Services. That's where I build all of my apps. It just works really easy. Plus, making an Android app is super easy because it's Google, right? And so far, I control all the connections between it, like all of the connections between whatever websites I want, whatever MCP servers I want. I haven't had any issues at all. Like they have not cut me off from anywhere.
But that's for your real time, what you just showed us. You were mentioning your other setting, your other ones.
The GPT one?
Yeah, like GPT, it wouldn't normally let you. Right?
Well, so
could that be egress settings maybe?
It could be, but I don't really know. Like I haven't really dug into that much right now. They're both configured exactly the same way, except for the voice mode. GPT is true two-way voice communication. I can barge in. Gemini is not. I have to kind of mute the mic when she's speaking and unmute it when I'm speaking. I have to handle that myself. But all the tool calls in the background are exactly the same. My platform controls that because I want to have access to what I want to have access to. And it's, and there's no voice app out there that does it right now. Like it's Gemini, Claude sucks for voice. But and OpenAI, they just don't let you attach tools. And so far I've had no issues when I control that part of it.
Mike, that's pretty awesome. So I run like a pretty robust Hermes instance for the company here. And I would love for some of them to have like a voice assistant like that. Have you been looking into it, or has anybody here bolted voice onto Hermes?
I have not. I've seen videos of it, but that's actually the reason, Mikhail, why I was asking to see if anyone had done that yet, because I still haven't seen it really good. I've seen videos of a couple people doing it, but nothing like a real conversation.
Yeah, because honestly, I would love to give all my warehouse workers the ability to ask things, because right now they have to go ask account management, who's got to look it up. Obviously the warehouse, so we don't trust them with much, but with this, they can just be like, hey, is this stuff supposed to be here? What's the prep details? And we could feed all that. And they wouldn't even have to know, they can even ask in Spanish because half of them don't speak English, right? But curious.
Dude, that's not terribly hard to do.
That's a killer use case. Having your brain for just people in the warehouse and talking, that's a killer use case.
Yeah. Well, I'll share one that I launched 2 weeks ago.
Just text message? I mean, does it have to be voice? I mean, everyone's on their phone anyways. What if
yeah, but not in the warehouse. In the warehouse, there's a limited number of devices, right? So this way, I could actually maybe plop a few devices near the big pack stations, and it's tap to talk. Okay. Right? Because I'm not giving my 100. Yeah, because I'm not giving my 100+ temp workers a phone in their hand.
Okay.
Right,
And
because right now
basically-
the worker pulls the supervisor calls in the account manager. The account manager looks it up, you know. But like, if I can short circuit that, and there's like a bunch of phones that are attached to the big pack stations, and you know, in whatever language you want, you can ask a question about an item and get an answer right there.
I created like this 24/7 AI agent bot for like this OpenClaw cohort that I have. So like I have a live OpenClaw agent that's running on Telegram 24/7. It's trained on like OpenClaw installation. So anytime someone has a question, they just use Telegram to text it, and it will give them a reply like instantly. So
yeah,
I don't
so
know,
like
something like that, they can just use their regular phone, just like have them text your Hermes, like, oh, what's the inventory on that? What do I do with this, etc. Espanol, what, etc. Like,
I mean, that's interesting. Yeah, because right now, I only have it access through Slack, right? So like all the office workers have it, the supervisor have it. But
the tool doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
saying you might be right. Like I can just bolt on another channel and give it to them. Food for
I
thought.
can imagine my brain is like cranking right now. I can imagine you have like 2 or 3 portals. This is probably an iPad, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. Or you can just have like an iPad in the warehouse, so anyone could just like text it.
That's what I was thinking, right? Or like
that,
come over.
I'm
on the iPad.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. I'm thinking like you have a quick little dashboard, and there's you know, this is where the gears start cranking here, right? You have 3 or 4 little iPads across the wherever you need them, right? The exit, the entrance, and right in the middle or something, right? And then you have like your basic dashboard that kind of tells you like the 3 things everyone needs to know at all times, right? And then you have like the text interface to like talk the tap to chat, you gotta call it that, trademark pending, tap to chat button. And then it has like a sort of like a ephemeral UI that just generates, you know, like, hey, you know, here's a little map on the warehouse, and the thing you're looking for is on the 7th aisle on the 3rd rack, right? And if you need to know that, you know, double check the UPS code or the UPS, or sorry, the UPC. Yeah, UPC, and it should be verified these 3 things, right? Like, I think that's such an amazing use case of it.
Yeah. Well, I'll share one that we launched a few weeks ago that is pretty awesome. So for items that require like kitting, bundling, any kind of prep, the system generates a project sheet that says like, this is the item you need, this is the prep details, like, you know, so like you need to go pick this SKU, it needs to be bubble wrapped, and it needs an F and SKU label, right? Whatever. And you need to do this 1,000 times. And so what the team used to have to do is they'll prep the first one, they'll take a picture of the item, of the component, right? What they pulled off the shelf, how they prepared it. They'll put them side by side. They'll put the project sheet next to it, take a picture, and we'll wait for the account manager to approve. And so what we've done now is same Slack channel, same thing they've been doing, but now, you know, the Hermes agent sits there. When it sees a message come through, it reads the sheet. It knows which project they're working on. It knows all the prep at item level. It looks at the picture, makes sure the components are correct, looks at the finished picture, makes sure that there's bubble wrap or shrink wrap or there's 2 items, whatever, and instantly responds with like, yep, you're good to go, or like, no, something's wrong. And we can actually do better than humans because besides speed, we can now check for like a host of other things that like we weren't able to do before. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
That's amazing. I love it. This is where I'm like, the world's going to become a much more intelligent place, and I'm excited. I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. Guys, well, let's call it there just because I try to keep these short and concise and like very, very actionable. So thank you so much for all my amazing smart people for coming on. I knew once you get a couple smart or 24 smart people together in a room, you'll learn a lot. So thank you all for joining. And we fully launched inventoryhero.ai. If you guys want to check it out, we basically built an AI first inventory management app, supply chain manager and demand forecaster there. I'd love for you guys to check it out and give me some feedback on it. And then also, Gary has his, we are doing 7-figure seller summit next week. And Gary, why don't you give us the last little kind of the outro on that while I get the link set up for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Andrew, for letting me come on. And I didn't even mention Andrew is speaking at Seven Figure Seller
Oh,
Summit,
yeah,
walking
I'm
you
there.
through, inventory control management, how to get this set up. And also he's going to share a little bit about Inventory Hero. So, I mean, if you want to see Andrew, and also shout out to Amy Weiss as well. Amy's speaking at the summit as well. So, I mean, I think when you, like what Andrew said, right? When you put a lot of intelligent people together, they're doing things from different perspectives, how they're using AI, I think, and you can get a free pass for 24 hours, right? So if you're interested, please get your free pass. It'll be next week, July 28th, 29th online. So yeah, thank you guys. This has been awesome. I learned a lot too. So I really enjoy this. We're speaking the same language here.
Just
Love
one
it.
last.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So on the leaderboard thing, so what I was talking about earlier was how I helped my team or a couple of my clients adopt it was like quantified into 4 different categories. The first one was time saved, quality of output improved, quantity of output improved, and money saved. Like these were the 4 primarily blocks that I wanted them to quantify their results. And then it was based on that, like how, like this was what I used to do earlier. So something like weekly reports to their manager. So this task took me X amount of hours. Now it's just a skill. So it takes me just few clicks. So that was literally time saved. So that was what I meant by quantifying the result in my perspective for the leaderboard in the team. So I hear Amy's point on that, and I think for businesses of Amazon scale, where there are a lot of middle managers and stuff, things may go south. But when you have a small, lean team, managing and having a leaderboard turns out to be fruitful. At least in my cases, they turned out to be fruitful because everyone was like, okay, yeah, this saved me the time there, or this helped me improve my quality of output. So yeah, that was one last thought that I wanted to share on that.
Good shout out. I love it. Thank you, Subhash. That's awesome. Cool, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all at Seven Figure Seller Summit next week. And then we'll have another one of these things probably in about 2 weeks. And thank you all, especially Amy, also thank you for taking time away from your gym to come share knowledge with us as well. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Yes, thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone. Take care.
Thank you.